Okay, you may start, Bernadette. Good evening.
Next
Sino ang discussion mo?
si ano po.
Ako po, sir.
Okay. So, you may start now.
Magdidiscussan po ba ako, sir?
After the presentation of Bernadette, you will be the discussant.
Noted. Thank you, sir. Opo.
Next slide po. Dun sa causes of poverty. Good evening, everyone. So, ito yung continuation ng report ko. So, number 1, the causes of poverty is rapid rise of population. So, due to a rapid rise of population, the level of per capita income is not increasing much. It is also leads to scarcity of jobs. Since the population is growing, many people are not able to get a job. So according to my research, an average of approximately 17 million people are added every year to the population, which raises the demand for consumption goods considerably. So it means that if dumami yung population natin, mas lalong mahihirapan yung mga tao kasi nga hindi naman enough yung income or kita, tapos yung iba hindi makahanap ng trabaho. Mas malaki pa yung presyo ng mga basic needs natin kaysa income. So, imagine patuloy yung lumalaki yung population, yung ibang mga bata ay hindi magkakaroon ng access to education kasi nga hindi sapat yung income, tapos yung presyo ng mga bilihin is tataas. The second one is poor governance and corruption. So this type of governance affects the poorest people and leaves them vulnerable as they are denied access necessities such as healthcare, food, and shelter. In a corrupt environment, wealth is captured, income inequality is increased, and states' governing capacity is reduced, particularly when it comes to attend the needs of poor. So just like what I've said before, so in the previous meeting, pag yung government natin is poor governance tsaka corrupt, so there is a tendency na yung pera na dapat i-allocate na budget sa isang program, particularly sa healthcare, mapupunta dun sa sa ibang bagay. So just like what happened to the PhilHealth, di ba binabalita yun na nagkakaroon ng may utang sila na 10 billion yata yun or nakakalimutan ko lang kung magkano yun. Tsaka yun isa sa dahilan kung ba't nagkakaroon ng nagkakaroon ng utang kasi nga kino-corrupt ng government. So the third one is unemployment. It is a term referring to individuals who are employed and actively seeking a job but are unable to find a job. So it is also one of the causes of poverty. If many people are not able to find a job or jobless, they cannot earn a better income, and due to lack of income, their families cannot meet a living expenses. That's why pag nagkakaroon ng unemployment, naiisipan ng ibang tao na gumagawa ng karahasan, like magnanakaw sila para masustain nila yung basic needs ng family nila. Next slide po. Lack of education. UNESCO estimates that 171 million people will be lifted out of extreme poverty if they left school with basic reading skill. Not every person without education is living in an extreme poverty, but most of the extremely poor don't have an education. So, lack of education is also considered a root of poverty. So, without education, people might have a difficult time to get a job. So, another effects of lack of education is people don't have enough knowledge on what they are going to do. So, karamihan, if yung di nakapag-aral yung isang tao, maraming nagdi-discriminate sa kanya without knowing kung ano yung reason behind that na di siya nakapag-aral. So, lack of education also cause poor lifestyle and lack of opportunity kasi nga mahihirapan siyang mag-apply ng trabaho. So, the next one is climate change and natural disaster. So, climate change creates hunger, whether due to little water, drought, or too much flooding, and its effect to the cycle of poverty. So, pag magkakaroon ng climate change and natural disaster, maapektuhan rin tayong lahat, especially sa farmers. Alam naman nating lahat na farming ay isa sa pinaka-importanting hanapbuhay. So if magkakaroon ng climate change or natural disaster, maapektuhan yung mga pananim nila. So ibig sabihin, hindi sila nababawasan yung supply ng pagkain sa pamilyahan. Ipalaging magkakaroon ng natural disaster at climate change. The next is inflation. So inflation places a very high burden on poor households because they are largely hand-to-mouth consumers. It tends to lower the share of bottom quintile and real minimum wage. So when there is inflation, the most affected people are the poor one. Kahit na maliit na pagtaas na presyo ng mga bilihin, ay matinding implikasyon nito sa kanilang pagkonsumo at kailangan sa pang-aaraw-araw na pamumuhay. So if yung kita or income ng isang tao ay mababa tapos magkakaroon pa ng inflation, so mas lalo silang maghihirap. Kasi nga hindi enough yung pera nila para sa kanilang basic needs. So marami silang kailangan at marami pa sila kailangang bayaran. So maraming dahilan kung ba't mas naaapektuhan ng inflation yung mahirap taong mababang income kaysa mayayaman. So isa na rito yung kaalaman sa uri ng trabaho. So when the prices rises, magkakaroon ng limited resources and supply yung bawat tao sa kanilang konsumo. The next slide po. War and conflict. So in its 10th year of conflict, Syria, so example dito is yung sa Syria. So war and conflict, isa din ito sa reason kung ba't nagkaroon ng poverty. So kadalasan nagkakaroon ng war and conflict is sa Muslim country like Syria and Iraq. So for example, if nagkakaroon ng war yung isang country, yung budget ng government na dapat sa ibang project like for example, yung sa housing or sa iba like health and infrastructure, instead na ibigay nila dapat doon, there is a tendency na hindi na mapunta doon kasi nga yung budget na nakalagay doon is mapupunta doon sa yung sa gagamitin nila sa war, which is yung sa guns, like guns and grenades. So, kaya mas lalong maapektuhan yung mga tao kasi if tataas din yung presyo ng mabilihin, lalong-lalo na yung gasolina. Like sa nangyari sa Ukraine, yung nangyari sa Ukraine, nagkakaroon din ng price hike sa gasoline. So, hindi lang yung presyo ng gasolina yung maapektuhan, pati na yung mga infrastructure. Tsaka, if nasisira yung mga infrastructure nila, yung ibang tao, hindi na sila, maaring mawalan sila ng trabaho kasi nga, wala na naman silang pagtatrabahuan. So, di na sila magkakatrabaho. Tsaka, yun, babalik na naman sila sa zero kasi nga, wala na naman silang income. So, the next one is inequality and marginalization. Inequality is an easy but sometimes misleading term used to describe the system. Barriers leaving groups of people without a voice or representation. So, when there is an inequality, people might face discrimination, especially sa gender ng isang tao. Minsan, if yung nag-a-apply sila ng trabaho, hindi sila tinatanggap, especially sa LGBTQ. So, they are deprived to find a work. Kaya instead na makatulong sila sa kanilang pamilya, hindi iyon mangyayari kasi nga hindi binigyan ng pansin yung mga kakayahan nila. Yung sa next one. So, dito na tayo sa solution and program to eradicate poverty. Number 1 is increase access to education. So, according to UNESCO, if all students in low income increase had just basic reading skills or nothing else, an estimated 171 million people could escape extreme poverty. So, alam naman natin na education is the most important thing to escape poverty. So, if yung isang tao ay nakakapagtapos ng pag-aaral, marami siyang knowledge na nalalaman at may opportunity siya para mabilis na makahanap ng magandang trabaho. The second one is equality and representation for all. One of the main causes of extreme poverty is marginalization. the systematic barriers that lead groups of people going without representation in their communities. So, in order for a community or country to work its way out of poverty, all groups, even the ethnic groups, the LGBT community must be involved in the decision-making process. So, dapat fair ang lahat. Mayaman ka, ano man yung races mo, mayaman ka man o mahirap. Halimbawa, sa pagkakaroon ng trabaho. Minsan, kasi yung iba, hindi binibigyan ng pansin, hindi binibigyan ng halaga yung importansya ng ibang tao. Another example dito is yung kapag may binibigay na ayuda or cash assistance yung gobyerno, minsan kung sino pa yung mahirap, sila pa yung hindi nabibigyan. Tsaka kung sino pa yung mas nakakaangat, yun pa yung inuuna binibigyan kasi nga depende kung sino yung palakasan ng kapit. Yung number 3 is security and access to clean water. So simply eating 3 meals a day and dapat food security pala yun. Food security and access to clean water. So kapag yung isang tao ay walang sapat na pagkain at malinis na tubig, magkakaroon minsan ng sakit. So merong ibang lugar kung saan ilang kilometro pa yung lalakarin bago makakuha ng tubig. Tsaka hindi pa yun mineral. So kaya isa to dapat sa pagtutuunan ng pansin na dapat magkakaroon ng access to clean water ang lahat ng especially sa rural places. Kasi nga para maiwasan nila yung sakit. Yun pala. The second one is providing access to health. Providing birth control. So, birth control. One of the key strategies to help bring down poverty in the Philippines is providing birth control to the poor. So in a radical move for the heavily populated Catholic country, the president made a readily available birth control to nearly 6 million women who cannot afford it. So birth control is a powerful tool for families because they have a full control over family planning. So para di na mas lalong naghihirap yung bawat pamilya, kailangan magkaroon sila nito para maiwasan yung pagkakaroon ng maraming anak. Lalong-lalo na if yung pamilya na yun ay hindi sapat yung income nila. Number 5, prevent child marriage. Child marriage also has a long impact on our communities and societies. Experts agree that practice is an impediment to social economic development. Yet, each year, an estimated 12 million girls marry against their will. More than 650 million women and girls worldwide marry as children. So, child marriage is one of the effects of lack of education. So, karamihan sa mga bata na hindi nakapag-aral ay maagang nag-aasawa. Kaya, mas lalong naghihirap kasi umaasa lang sila sa magulang. Minsan din kabalik na rin yung nangyayari. Yung mga magulang pinipilit yung mga anak nila para magkaroon ng asawa sa murang edad. Kaya mas lalong nahihirapan sila sa kanilang pang-araw-araw na pamumuhay. Next slide. Improve child nutrition. According to the World Health Organization, eliminating malnutrition is one of the most effective solutions to poverty. Myanmar World Vision Canada's Enrich program, in partnership with the government of Canada, is working to ensure pregnant mothers, newborn, and babies are nourished during critical first 100 days of life. So, child nutrition is very important kasi nga minsan yung ibang bata hindi nabibigyan ng yung ibang mga magulang child nutrition isa ito sa kailangan pagtuunan ng pansin ng gobyerno kasi nga if yung mga bata is walang proper nutrition. So, there is a chance na magkaroon sila ng sakit. Tsaka, mahihirapan sila na, magkakaroon sila ng sakit. Yun lang. Next slide. Support environmental programs. So between 2030 and 2050, climate change alone is expected to cause approximately 250,000 extra deaths per year. So that's from malnutrition, malaria, diarrhea, and heat stress alone, says the World Health Organization. So dapat magkakaroon tayo, di ba nakikita naman natin na karamihan sa mga wala nang sapat na mga puno, yung iba pinuputol. Kasi ginagawa yung mga kalsada like buildings. Dapat may mga buildings. So, kaya minsan marami yung nagkakasakit kasi nagkakaroon ng malaria. Tsaka minsan yung ibang tao nagtatapon ng basura dun sa ilog, dagat. Kaya, so number 8, Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino Program or PURPIS. So the Pantawid Pamilya is a human development program of the national government that invests in the health and education of poor households, particularly of children aged 0 to 18 years old. This particular program, which is government cash handout project, has helped reduce poverty by 25%. So Pantawid Pamilyang Program, isa ito sa program na nilaan ng gobyerno, particularly sa DSWD, which is or Department of Social Welfare and Development, para matulungan yung mga kabataan. So yung mga member nito is yung mga mahihirap na tao, especially yung kabilang sa ethnic groups. Nagbibigay, so dito sa yung sa PURPIS, nagbibigay sila ng cash assistance para sa education ng mga bata. Ang alam ko dun sa pag-elementary, 800 yata yung binibigay nila kasi kami dati member kami ng PURPIS. So, tapos, dapat 0 to 18 years old lang yung yung mabibigyan nito. Tsaka, nagbibigay din sila ng budget para sa health worth of high school or senior high school na yung bata. 1,000 yata yung binibigay nila. The next one is, next slide po. Free the Children. Free the Children is dedicated to eliminating the exploitation of children around the world by encouraging youth to volunteer as well as to create programs and activities that relieve the plight of underprivileged children. So this program is funded by international child rights activist named Craig Kilbuger. The purpose of this program is to free the children from poverty and exploitation. So yung mga member ng Free the Children is may sponsor sila na taga-ibang bansa. So doon sa amin, binibigyan sila ng allowance para panggastos nila. Binibigyan sila ng allowance para may panggastos sila. Tsaka binibigyan din sila ng gamit para makapag-aral yung isang bata. Number 10 is providing access to healthcare. So increasing access to Medicaid for families may be one way to reduce poverty. Research shows that Medicaid helps pull families out of poverty by providing access to affordable health coverage and lowering out-of-pocket costs. So, dapat yung bawat family yung lahat ng tao magkakaroon ng access to healthcare. Kasi nga marami pa din sa binabalita, especially particularly sa ibang bansa, hindi sila nagkakaroon ng access to healthcare kasi nga wala silang panggamot. Wala silang pera para bumili ng gamot or hindi nila kaya magpagamot sa ospital kasi nga wala silang pambili. Sapat lang yung kita nila sa pagkain, tirahan, tsaka yung pang-araw-araw na pangangailangan. Next slide po. End war conflict. No war means that budget allocated to cover the cost conflict can be used to deliver public services. So it is also reduced risk faced by the most vulnerable communities and ensures that goals towards equality and inclusion can be maintained. So if walang away at conflict sa pagitan ng mga bansa, ibig sabihin yung budget na allocated para dun is magagamit nila especially sa paggawa ng pasilidad, especially sa ating health program. Maraming taong nagkakaroon ng chance para magpagamot kung ito ay libre at para na din hindi na ito kasali sa kanilang bayarin sa daily expenses nila. Number 12 is provide paid leave and paid sick days. So the United States is the only developed country in the world without paid family and medical leave and paid sick days, making it very difficult for millions of American families to balance work and family without having to sacrifice needed income. Paid leave is an important anti-poverty policy as having a child is one of the leading causes of economic hardship. So in United States, there is no paid leave even though the workers are sick. Paid leave benefits businesses by improving retention and productivity. It can also boost labor force participation. So next slide po. So may nilagay akong quote na sikat na quote na inaano ni Mother Teresa missionary. So we think sometimes that poverty is only being hungry, naked and homeless. The poverty of being unwanted, unloved, and uncared for is the greatest poverty. We must start in our own homes to remedy this kind of poverty. So dapat talaga yung poverty, magkakaroon tayo ng solution. Dapat pangunahan natin nakasalalay sa ating mga sarili kasi di naman tayo pwedeng umaasa sa binibigay ng government. Tsaka if kung tayo mismo hindi tayo gumawa ng paraan para makaahon sa kahirapan, so wala talagang mangyayari. So meron ding isang quote na poverty is not the hindrance. Do you believe that poverty is not a hindrance of success? So para sa akin yun, hindi siya, depende sa situation. So kung wala talaga yung isang tao, hindrance talaga niya yun. So if yung may kaya naman, hindi. Para sa akin hindi yun hindrance sa kanila kasi nga may mga naman sila, may pera naman sila para bayaran or bayaran yung mga project nila. Tsaka yung sa wala, yung mga poor, especially sa mga poor, hindrance talaga sa kanila kasi nga nahihirapan na nga sila sa basic needs nila, yun pa kaya yung pag-aaral uunahin. Yun lang po. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Bernadette. But before we go to the analysis of your presentation, can we hear Ms. Jayan to present her discussion of being the discussion of your topic? And please open your camera. Some of you are still closed. The camera is still closed. Okay, thank you. So can you please proceed, Ms. Jayan? Thank you.
Good evening, classmates. So I am here to share to you my takeaways regarding po sa report ni Miss Bernadette. So she discussed about poverty. Now, one of the major problems in our country is poverty. And poverty is the major cause why there is a child labor. So if we think of the problem poverty, there are many people who are suffering and children were not able to go to school. As discussed by Ms. Bernadette, there are major causes of poverty. I've listed here 8. So number 1 is rapid rise in population, 2, poor governance and corruption, 3, unemployment, 4, lack of education, 5, climate change and natural disaster. Number 6, inflation. When we talk about inflation, this refers to general increase in the purchasing value of money. And most of our, of course, ang mostly naapektuhan ng inflation are the marginalized groups. Number 7, war and conflict. Number 8, inequality and marginalization. So kapag sinabi nating marginalization, this refer to those people or human in the society who were treated insignificant. Okay? As you can observe also in the Philippines, farmers were poor compared to other countries. So in this, kasi 'di ba, kung matitinan mo bakit kaya sa Pilipinas ang mahihirap ang mga farmer, sila yung number one. And po, they were not, kung titingnan natin, may problema kasi they were not given importance by the government when it comes to budget and agricultural advancement. As shared nga ni Sir Tope, na 'di ba sa Japan, number one siya. Actually, nung nagturo ako ng TLE, meron akong ipinakita sa aking mga students na graph, parang ano siya, flow ng graph. Tapos every year, tinitingnan, number one talaga consistent ang Japan. Why? Kasi nga, ang agriculture and technology ay sabay nilang ini-improve. Okay? According also to Mahatma Gandhi, poverty is the worst form of violence. Denial of choices and opportunities, violation of human dignity, severe deprivation of basic human needs, and there are about 870 million in world's population are suffering from chronic undernourishment, which causes the death of 22,000 of children every day. Grabe, no? Kung bibilangin mo yun, ang daming namamatay dahil sa kahirapan. So, kung titingnan natin, we are really swerte, no? Napakaswerte pala natin. Kasi nga, nasa ano tayo parang nasa average group tayo in the society. Okay, according also to Article 25 of Declaration of Human Rights, everyone has the right to acquire standard quality of living. However, sa sarili kong perception or realization, this is not really supported because poverty becomes a challenge to the government. Talagang number one yan na challenge, problema ng government. Kaya they must think of solutions on how to eliminate poverty. One of the cases in poverty is children were deprived to life in a happy life. Now, Ms. Bernadette also discussed the types of poverty. We have number 1, absolute poverty. This refers to destitution. Ibig sabihin, state of severe deprivation of basic human needs. And as you can observe also, dahil ganun yung problema sa absolute poverty, as stated also by Ms. Bernadette, ang isa sa problema ay there were people living in the streets. No? Ang daming tao na nakatira lang sa streets, and then ang kanilang source of income ay panglilimos, and yun nga, namumulot ng basura. Number 2 ay relative poverty. This refers to economic inequality in location where people live. So as stated also, example, family income is not enough. Number 3, situational poverty. So temporary type of poverty, like sa isang family na naapektuhan during this pandemic. Alam niyo ba, sinishare niya, meron siyang 4 na anak, and then sa isang araw, kasi ano siya parang therapist siya. So nung nagkaroon ng pandemic, nawalan siya ng work. Kaya ang 20 pesos ay pinagkakasya nila. Ang 20 pesos binibili nila ng ulam, halimbawa munggo. Tapos yung munggo na yun, pinagkakasya nila ng breakfast, dinner, and breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Tapos yung kanyang 4 na anak ay pinatira muna nila sa nilang mag-asawa sa family or sa relative nila na may kaya. So 'di ba, grabe, 20 pesos tapos pag kakasyahin yung munggo sa 3 kainan. So 'yun. Next, number 4, general poverty. Lack of family planning handed over to individual and families from one generation to one. Dahil nga mahirap ka, so kailangan mahirap, parang ganun, parang ano siya perception na kailangan dahil mahirap ko, so kaya mahirap. Pero alam niyo ba ako sa case ko kami mahirap lang. Ang nanay ko walang trabaho, ang tatay ko walang trabaho. Pero itinaguyod nila kami. Kaya kaming lahat ng magkakapatid, 5 kami, lahat kami professional. So siguro hindi applicable to sa mga magulang namin ang generational poverty. Number 5, rural poverty. Areas where less job opportunities, less access to services, less support for disabilities and quality of education. Naisip ko dito, 'di ba mostly, no, makikita mo na bakit kung i-interviewin mo yung mga street na nakatira sa streets, bakit sila ano tawag dito, sir, yung ano nga tawag, migration ba yun, sir, no? Migration. Bakit
Sila
sila
nagmamigrate.
Oo, bakit sila nagma-migrate dito sa city? Alam niyo yun, tapos akala kasi nila maganda yung buhay sa city. Pero ang magiging problem lang or ang kanilang magiging source of income ay nanglilimos. May napanood din ako na MMK, Badjao yun, 'di ba? Doon sa kanilang doon sa kanilang area, nagtatanim sila, ganyan. So nagsasawa sila sa kanilang pang-araw-araw na buhay kaya bumaba sila from bundok ta's dito sa street, ayun nanglilimos sila. They prefer na manglimos compare sa bumalik doon sa remote areas. Tapos alam niyo ba na yung tinapa, yung sardines, parang equivalent na yun sa kanila ng fried chicken, parang gano'n. Gano'n kahuli sa kanila yung sardines. Okay, next ay urban poverty refers to the set of economic and social difficulties that are found in industrialized cities and that are result of a combination of processes such as establishment of comfortable living standards, that increase of individualism, dualization of labor market, unemployment and underemployment, squatter area, and migration. Now, Miss Bernadette also discussed the theories of poverty. We have structural theories. This refers to individual is largely controlled by society. So this explains poverty under condition. Example, unemployment, education, and health. Number 2, political theories. The content that power and institutions caused by policy. So this refers to poor and greedy governance. Number 3, cultural theories. This refers to individual as driven by incentives and culture. So marirelate natin to sa generational poverty. Next, number 4, the opportunity theory of poverty. The people are poor because they have limited human capital as well as limited access to opportunities compared to the wealthy people. So solutions, Miss Bernadette also discussed the solutions and programs to eliminate poverty. Habang nagdi-discuss si Miss Bernadette kanina, parang realization ko na itong mga solutions and programs, parang ang common denominator lang nito is honest governance, ganun. And also, in participation din po sa mga people in the society. And yun nga, shared by Miss Bernadette, na sabi nga ni Mother Teresa, na kailangan magsisimula sa family magsisimula sa family yung participation and cooperation para ma-eliminate yung poverty. Now as discussed by Ms. Bernadette, meron siyang 12 na solutions and programs. So I will enumerate. Number 1, increase access to education. Number 2, equality and representation for all. Number 3, security and access to clean water. 4, providing birth control. 5, prevent child marriage. Number 6, improve child nutrition. Number 7, support environmental programs. Number 8, pantawid pamilyang program or for peace dito. Yun nga, yung mga parents, they were using the benefits for their personal necessities and wants instead of ibigay sa mga anak nila yung pera for education, 'di ba? Isa 'yun sa mga issue na napapanood natin sa TV. Okay, number 9, free the children. So, kanina parang may nakita ko lang yung exploitation. So, yung exploitation kasi common talaga siya na problem sa Pilipinas dahil sa poverty. May napapanood na akong balita na alam nyo ba, dahil sorry for the word, pero ginagamit yung kanilang anak for sexual exploitation and pornography, 'di ba? So may actually may mga ganong case talaga dito sa Philippines. And also hindi lang naman siya for pornography or sexual exploitation but also sa ano po, yung sa child labor, ganyan. Parang responsibility ng mga anak na itaguyod yung pamilya. So ganun na ano. Next, and war conflict. So yun po, ako kasi sa taga-probinsya ako and I've also noticed yung mga situations like yung mga bata na nasa murang edad ay nire-recruit ng mga NPA or ng mga rebel groups, lalo na yung mga families na under marginalized. So yun, sila yung commonly nare-recruit po ng mga rebel groups. Number 12 ay provide paid leave and paid sick days. So ito naman is under po ito sa mga employers na hindi nagfa-follow ng mga benefits ng kanilang employer. So yun nga po, under these programs solutions and programs, ang common denominator lang dito ay talagang honest governance. Ayun po, sir. Thank you.
Hello. 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 Wait lang. Okay, good evening. Clear ba ako? Okay, so thank you, Bernadette. Bigyan naman ng virtual clap and for your good and nice presentation. And thank you, Ms. Jayan, for your discussion, being the discussant. You already summarized the presentation of Bernadette, but we will going to analyze it. Yes, poverty, it is not as old or as new social issues, but it is an issue long time ago. Even before the start of every civilization, meron na talagang poverty. That's why we cannot able to dissolve poverty. We cannot able to absolutely disregard the concept or the context of poverty. But in a particular community or in our country, we can able to prevent poverty. We can lessen the impact of poverty as long as we have a good government that will cater all the needs of our people. And kanina binanggit doon, and we have I really like your solution about how we're going to prevent or lessen poverty. So your main point, the first point is to strengthen our educational system. Yes, education is one the essential aspect or solution, not only aspect, but it is one of our solution in able to uplift our status quo, to uphold our daily lives, diba? Yes, even I am not, I belong to a family na hindi man talaga masyadong marangya. Diba? Before, pero nagkaroon kami mga problema, meron kami mga crisis. So it affects my education. I stopped my education way back 2009. Hindi talaga ako pumasok agad ng 1 sem. And after 1 sem, I tried my best to enroll in any colleges. And kaya ako nagpunta diyan eh. Diyan ako tinuro ng ano namin ng pare, because before I went to LCBA, nag-ano ako eh. Gusto ko talaga magpare eh, pero because even in seminary you need money, because you need to have benefactors na tutulong sa iyo. Malaki kasi gastos mo doon eh. Yung mga gastusin kasi doon ka titiran eh. Hindi man talaga. So I went to LCBA. I finished my education in LCBA through my hard work and to the help of my family. Diba? Every day, nag-tutor ako. So, poverty is not, okay lang remark, poverty is not really a hindrance, diba? It is up to the people, to the person, if you want to pursue your education. Diba? Sabi nga, medyo mamaliitin ka, if you don't have any background or diploma, sabi matatanda, and that is, diba, that is one of our issues, na if you are not educated, mamalitin ka talaga. Pero siguro kung di ako napag-aral, ano kayang tingin sa akin ng tao? And that is a problem. Okay, sige. Give me 1 minute, wait lang. Sabi nga, talagang yun ang tingin, di ba? So, I really tried my best na makatapos. Even nung aking, even may kapatid, dahil wala naman kami. So, I really tried my best na pag-aralin ang kapatid ko. May sibling finish her bachelor's in accountancy last 2 years ago, also in LCBA. And I also encourage my cousin. Sabi ko, hindi pwede. Diba hindi pwede, hindi tayo tapos. So that is one of our weapons. Even though that we have weapons, the problem of our country is we are lack of opportunities. Opportunities wherein there's no such thing as programs that will uplift our educational background. Di ba? Wala eh. For example, most of my classmates in UP, they are all scientists. Kaya, di ba, mga scientists, most of my classmates are scientists. Sabi nila, sila yung mga bumalik galing ibang bansa. Di ba? I have one classmate who is a national scientist. And sabi nga niya, bakit siya bumalik? Kasi because of his mantra to help our country. But before we go to other country, to uplift the status quo of their living, di ba? Kulang talaga. Ang dami nating graduates. The problem is there's no such thing as opportunities. Opportunities that will help everybody to give a just, not only peaceful, but a sustainable living condition. Yun ang problema. So we're going to look on this. Ang dami talagang problema. Di ba? Another thing is, even 4Ps, you know what is 4Ps? Pantawid Pamilya Pilipino Program. One of my students in the graduate school, that is his study, we evaluate the 4Ps program in one barangay in Calamba, and we observe and we assess that 4Ps is really good. But because of the implementation of the government, na mayroong pagpili lang, most of the 4Ps beneficiaries are kamag-anak of the barangay captain. Take note, in 4Ps, we only look two components, health and education. Dapat ang bata na mamonitor sa barangay clinic. Ang bata kahit paano ay nakakapag-aral. Ay meron niyang binibigay na na mga vitamins, may binibigay na pera. But the mindset of the people, of those people who are beneficiaries of 4Ps, sinasahod nila yung para sa bata, minsan pinansusugal, pinambabayad sa utang. Ang 4Ps, kaya Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino Program, pantawid, pangtulong, hindi talaga yan natin. Maganda talaga yan kasi pinattern natin yan sa ibang bansa eh. Diba? Pinattern natin yan sa ibang bansa na talagang merong tulong pinansyal ng gobyerno for those people under the poverty line. Yung talagang, sabi nga, yung nasa laylayan, that is a poverty line. Tutulungan. But in in selecting beneficiaries, doon nakakaroon ng problema. Walang masyadong follow-up. Hindi pinapansin, kailangan ba talaga malusog ang bata? That's why she cited a while ago about malnutrition. And one of the problem also is all about the population that we have, di ba? That's why there's what we call birth control law, di ba? Yung tinatawag nating RH law. Ang tagal niyan, di ba? But because of our culture pertaining to our religious belief, ang hirap patupad yan. Di ba? There are a lot of studies that really indicate that poverty, overpopulation is one of the causes why we have poverty. According to Thomas Malthus, in his Malthusian theory, wherein according to his Malthusian theory, habang tumataas the increase of population, that is the decrease in the resources. Habang tumataas ang populasyon, dumadami ang tao, may pagkakataon na umuunti ang resources dahil nagkakaubusan hindi napapaikot. So why most of the country who are overpopulated are not in the top of the economic scenario. Parang tayo. But why United States? United States is one of the country na mayroong malaking populasyon. Way back in 2015, according to data, the United States of America, ano to dito? Ang United States of America ay ng top 3. China, India, US. Nasa top 2 tayo in 2015 Pero still, the United States of America can able to sustain because they can able to really develop, manage, and distribute the allocation and allocate all the resources that they have. They have what they call particular, in a way they can able to really uphold how can they able to manage their economic system. The problem here in our country, ang ganda ng ating bansa, but still, because of the initiative of our national and local leaders, and because of mismanagement of our government system, still we are now at the last part of growing in terms of developing our economic system. So I will share it to you. Ano ba yung nais sabihin ng NEDA? Take note. Ang NEDA, sabi, I will show to you muna isang video and we will analyze it later on. Okay. Nakikita ba ang video ko? Na nakita ko sa Facebook, sa YouTube. Okay. Wait lang ha. Okay. Yeah. Mali pa lang.
Vision. By 2040, the Philippines is a prosperous, middle-class society where no one is poor. People live long and healthy lives and are smart and innovative. The country is a high-trust society where families thrive in vibrant, culturally diverse, and resilient communities. This is where the Philippine Development Plan 2017 to 2022 takes off. In February 2017, the National Economic and Development Authority Board, chaired by President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, approved the PDP 2017 to 2022. It is the first medium-term plan to be anchored on the 0 to 10-point socio-economic agenda and is geared towards the Ambisyon Natin 2040, which articulates the Filipino people's collective vision of a matatag, maginhawa, at panatag na buhay para sa lahat. It also takes into account the country's international commitments, such as the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. It is a result of nationwide consultations with various sectors.
In turning our collective vision into reality, it is necessary for each administration to build on the gains of its predecessors to ensure continuity and consistency of policies, programs, projects, and initiatives, while also maintaining a certain amount of flexibility.
Executive Order Number 5, issued by President Duterte, states that all development plans until 2040 will be anchored on the long-term vision and that these will emphasize the centrality of the Filipino people and their aspirations in the planning, design, and implementation of government interventions.
The Philippine Development Plan 2017 to 2022 will lay down a solid foundation for a more inclusive growth, a high-trust society, and a globally competitive economy.
To turn the Filipinos' vision into reality, the Philippine Development Plan 2017 to 2022 has set targets to be achieved in the next 6 years. Foremost, the Philippines will be an upper-middle income country, with GDP growth expected to strengthen further and the average income per person to increase over the 6-year plan period. Moreover, growth will be more inclusive, as manifested by lower poverty incidence in the rural areas. Overall poverty rate will decline and will lift more Filipinos out of poverty. The Philippines will have a high level of human development. This will be supported by improvements in education and health outcomes and the significant increase in incomes. Likewise, the unemployment rate will go down. and more jobs will be generated. In areas outside of the National Capital Region, emphasis will be on improving the quality of employment. There will be greater trust in government and in society. At the same time, individuals and communities will be more resilient. Filipinos will have greater drive for innovation, with the Philippines ranking among the top one-third of countries in the Global Innovation Index. Among the youth and adults, there will be greater drive to improve on their knowledge base, skills, and expertise.
To attain our targets, we have identified several strategies clustered under the three pillars of malasakit, pagbabago, and patuloy na pagunlad, supported by a strong foundation in national security, infrastructure development, socio-economic resiliency, and ecological integrity.
For Malasakit, or enhancing the social fabric, the aim is to regain people's trust in public institutions and cultivate trust in fellow Filipinos. This entails making public institutions citizen-centered, efficient, and clean. Administration of justice will be swift and fair, and there will be increased awareness and knowledge on the value of cultural diversity and shared heritage among Filipinos. For pagbabago, or inequality-reducing transformation, lifting the poor and other economic groups that used to lag behind is the main priority. This will be achieved by expanding economic opportunities and increasing access to these opportunities. These will be coupled with reducing vulnerability and ensuring resiliency of communities by strengthening social protection and prioritizing human capital development. Patuloy na pagunlad, or increasing growth potential, will be attained by advancing to a knowledge economy and accelerating the full harvest of the demographic dividend. Technology adoption will be promoted and innovation will be encouraged. Cross-cutting strategies are also in place to support the interventions articulated under the three pillars. These provide a bedrock for all strategies to work. These cross-cutting strategies are ensuring a sound, stable, and supportive macroeconomic environment, putting in place a strategic trade and fiscal policy, leveling the playing field through a national competition policy, attaining just and lasting peace, ensuring security, public order and safety, accelerating infrastructure development, and ensuring ecological integrity, clean and healthy environment.
Our journey to 2040 has begun. We enjoin everyone to support the Philippine Development Plan to realize our collective aspirations. Tayo na, tuparin ang hangad nating matatag, maginhawa, at panatag na buhay para sa lahat.
Note that the National Economic Development Authority, it is mandated by the 1987 Constitution to overhaul the economic stability of our country. It is a first agency that really advise our national government, specifically our executive branch headed by the President, ano ba ang dapat gawin ng ating Pangulo, ng ating ehekutibo in terms of managing the economy. That's why, take note, it's stated in that video that we have Philippine Development Plan from 2017 up to 2022. It is the end of the Philippine Development Plan. But according to that, the rationale of PDP, or Philippine Development Plan, it is the foundation of all other development plans. The problem is, if the succeeding president will not continue the vision of the current administration, it will not able to strengthen the Philippine Development Plan. Philippine Development Plan was started during the time of Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. Take note that Gloria Macapagal Arroyo is an economist. She finished his education in Harvard University. One of her classmates is former President Clinton, and one of her students is our former President Benigno Aquino in Ateneo de Manila. And take note that Gloria Macapagal Arroyo she was a doctor or PhD in economics. That's why she developed this aspect of how we're going to manage our economy. But the problem is, what if we have other administration? So in this aspect, nakakaroon tayo ng inconsistency. So we're going to look at the data. I will share to you my short slide that I taught in the graduate school. So, sabi ko sa mga estudyante ko nag-aaral ng economics. Okay. Going to analyze the Asian continent at the year of 2050. This is the vision of our continent. So, wherein Asia will nearly double its share of global gross domestic product to over 50%. Asia's per capita income, I heard the word per capita income, it is the income per employee, per person, that will rise sixfold from 2010 to 2050 and will exceed the global average. But they did not include the problem brought about by the pandemic. And 7 economies will okay, so what is your question, Ms. Jayan? What is the difference between gross domestic product and GNP? So before I answer that, I already taught this in our macroeconomics. Gross national product is the overall kita or profit of our country within and outside the country. Wherein, di ba, I told you before that GNP, sa mga estudyante ko sa macro, GNP includes all other assets, all other profits, or the NFIA, net factor income from abroad, or the rest of the world. Kita yon, yung mga remittances. But when you say GDP, or gross domestic product, it is the local profit, kita sa loob ng bansa, not counting the other profit outside the country. GNP and GDP are the same, but they differ from the scope kung saan nagmumula ang kita. GDP sa loob lamang ng bansa. GNP, loob at labas ng bansa. Because even in other country, meron tayo mga kababayan, merong kumpanya nagpapadala dito, mga OFWs natin, like what we call remittances. Will ba, Ms. Jayan?
Sir, may follow-up lang po.
Okay. So, yung kita po sir na yon ay deducted na ang tax? Yes. Okay. Because we have 3 approaches in computing GNP and GDP. Again, what are the 3 approaches in able to compute the GNP and GDP that we computed last semester? Do you still remember, Christine? We have 3 approaches in computing GNP and GDP, and what are these approaches?
Ano po, sir? Industrial.
Yes.
Ano nga yung market,
Industrial, income,
income, and
expenditure.
Opo, sir.
Okay. So in computing GDP and GNP, we use 3 approaches. And according to Ms. Jayan, kasama ba ang tax dito? Is included, but we reduce that when we compute GNP and GDP. Okay? So that is yung neto, pinaka-neto na. So the Philippines will be overtaken by India and Vietnam and will be in the company of Mongolia and Cambodia. That is their analysis. Diba? So like what I said a while ago, we are surprised or we are shocked about the impact of pandemic. Even the other countries. That's why we need to reassess again how we're going to meet our vision all over the continent. But before we go to that vision, we need to focus in our vision, wherein what is our ambition by 2040? Take note, it's already 2022 pa lang. But this is a long-term vision of Filipinos. It is a 25 years vision. It is a vision and not a plan that anchor for development planning across administrations. That is the EO, the Executive Order number 5, signed by President Duterte. But like what I said a while ago, if Duterte, if the upcoming president will not do the same, or not do the same, but they will not focus on the priority of our country, or there's no such thing as continuity, because the problem is if kaaway ka, they will not continue your project. Also, who will suffer? The Filipino people. So it is a guide for engaging with international development partners. So like what is stated in the video, ano bang gusto natin buhay? We focus on the 3 pillars: matatag, maginhawa, panatag. Matatag, wherein we live together with family. Dito I heard one of the debate. I forgot kung saan ba tong ano, sabi nila, sana dumating ang panahon na hindi na required o mapipilitang umalis ang mga Pilipino. Hindi na nila iiwan ang kanilang pamilya. They have time with their family and friends, work and life balance. Maginhawa, wherein there's what we call freedom from hunger and poverty. Malaya, yes, may mahirap pa rin, pero you can able to sustain your basic needs. Diba? Guaranteed mobility, secure home ownership. We can able to travel and vacation, we have travel and vacation opportunities. Diba? That is maginhawang buhay. Panatag, we are secured of place. Our resources adequate for day-to-day needs and unexpected expenses. Hindi ka natatakot magkasakit. Diba? We have passive income during the retirement. Like what I said, diba, pag nag-retired ka, maayos ang buhay mo. Hindi yung natatakot ka na matanda ka, nagtatrabaho ka pa rin. So, an overwhelming majority of Filipinos aspire for a simple and comfortable life. Tingnan nyo ha, 3.9% ang gusto lamang makakuha ng talagang sobrang yaman. Yaman na pamumuhay, ba milyonaryo. Ito naman, 16.9%. This is way back 2017 to 2018 analysis by NEDA. 16.9% ang gusto lamang ng middle, prosperous and affluent life. Yung talagang talagang sobra ka sa pangailangan. Hindi ka masyadong mayaman, hindi ka billionaire, pero sobra-sobra ka naman sa iyong mga pangailangan. But take note, ano lang yung ang gusto ng maraming Pilipino? 79.2%, simple at komportableng buhay. Ako rin doon, wala na masyadong naghahangad ng sobrang kailangan nilang sobrang yaman o sobrang yaman. Ang kailangan nila, simple at komportableng pamumuhay lang hinihingi ng mga Pilipino. And take note, di ba? What is a simple and comfortable life? Before I go to that aspect, for you, I will ask you one by one. I will start to you, Madrid. For you, what is a simple and comfortable life for you, Madrid? For you, how are you going to say that it is a simple and comfortable life? Rainwell.
Sir, siguro para sa akin, pag kumpleto yung family ko, tas 3 beses nakakain sa isang araw or sobra pa doon, parang hindi kinakapos sa sir, sa mga pangangailangan. Ganun ba? Tas kahit yung simple lang yung trabaho, sir, basta naitatawid yung pang-araw-araw.
Okay. So, yun ang iyong ibig sabihin sa isang simple at komportableng buhay. How about you, Raymark? What is your...
Hello.
Yes.
Ayan. Rinig po ako, sir.
Yes, malinaw.
For me, simple and comfortable life is defined as meron kang bahay na natutuluyan, una. Meron kang pamilya na kasama, or kung hindi man kasama is nakakausap, nakakakwentuhan. Pangatlo ay meron kang pagkain na nakakain. Sapat. Pang-apat ay kaya mo na ma-survive ang isang buong araw ng maayos. Maayos ka at maayos ang pamilya mo. At panglima ay masaya ka. Yun po para sa akin ang simple at komportableng buhay.
Okay. So that is your simple and comfortable life. How about you, Bernadette? For you, what is a simple and comfortable life?
Para sa akin po is, yung una is magkaroon ng sapat na kita. Tsaka, pangalawa is magkaroon ng education. Then, yung makaraos sa pang-araw-araw na buhay, which is yung sa basic needs, like may pagkain, tubig, tirahan. Tsaka, sama-sama yung pamilya. Yun lang po.
Okay. So how about you, Miss Jayan? What is your simple and comfortable life?
Ano sir, personally, kasi may asawa at anak na ako. So ayun lang po, basta yung physiological needs, yung mga basic needs, hindi hirap na i-meet lahat yun. Tapos, ano po, less stress na mayroong enough budget para makapag-unwind. Ayan. Tapos, ano po, kahit papaano, walang mga dependents, sir, na parang ibabawas mo pa sa income ng family mo. Ayun po. Simple.
Yeah. And last one, Miss Christine, what is a simple and comfortable life for you?
Sir, sa akin naman po is, unang-una po is yung ano po ng family, yung healthy po yung family namin. So lahat po kami is healthy. And meron pong enough budget. So katulad lang din po nila. So nasusustain yung basic needs. And may extra in case na magkaroon ng emergency. And may time din po para mag-relax. Hindi lang lagi puro work. And may time pa rin sa family. At sa sarili po.
So that is what we call work and life balance. For me, if you're going to ask me what a simple and comfortable life, yes, first of all, I can able to sustain my basic needs according to Abraham Harold Maslow, the physiological needs, food, water, and shelter, diba? And as I am able to secure my work, diba? Despite the pandemic, I'm really thankful to God that I have a simple work, di ba? Meron akong simpleng trabaho that can help my family to sustain our living, di ba? And being able to develop your life, your way of life in terms of this aspect wherein hindi ka talaga natatakot. I'm not afraid na magkasakit because meron akong pampagamot. I'm not afraid na magutom dahil kahit paano nakakain ako. And the needs of my family, I can able to give their needs, di ba? I can able to sustain pag-leisure time, meron akong leisure time. And I am not able to use my time just for work, di ba? Work is for, pasimple, and then the rest ay, for me, that is a simple and comfortable life. And natutugunan ko yung bills ko. Natutugunan ko mabayarin ko, di ba? Take note, like what I said before, I need, in a month, diba? I need 30K plus to sustain my needs. Diba? Kasi ibig sabihin, dami akong binabayaran na way na I need to sustain. Diba? Ang dami kong because I focus on investment. Diba? Ano ba investment ko? For example, I bought a house, diba? Kasi kailangan ko natanda na ako eh. Kailangan ko may bahay ako na hindi maasa ako sa pamilya. So, I bought a house, di ba? And yung mga pangailangan ko, every weekend, nakakagala ako. So, let's say simple, nakakain ako, nakakagala ako, nakakatulog ako maayos, nakapag-leisure ako. For me, that is a simple and comfortable life. And I can able to sustain my studies. Lahat ng gusto kong pangarap, little by little, I can able to, hindi ako natatakot na I cannot able to achieve my dreams because of lack of opportunities. And that is a simple and comfortable life. But according to NEDA, National Economic and Development Authority, what is a simple and comfortable life? For example, this is a statement of the National Economic Development Authority. Own at least one car. You have a decent work. Have enough money for day-to-day needs. own a medium-sized home. If you have if you have children, you can able to send your children in a college education. Before, may mindset hanggang high school lang ako kasi napakahirap mag-aaral ng kolehiyo kung wala kang walang pagtugon ng iyong magulang, di ba? Hirap kung wala kang pera. Then able to relax with family and friends. Even you are a small business, you own a small business and you can able to take occasional trips around the country. Yan daw dapat. And we're going to look on this, di ba? Ang taas naman ng standard. Diba? Binigyan, no? Meron kang ganyang pera na nilalaan. Di ba? Your gross monthly family income, 120. Wala pa yata ako sa 120. Diba? Baba ako pa dyan. You're going to look on this, diba? You have enough money for day-to-day needs, diba? Even to, in reality, you're going to assess this 40K, napakaliit pa nito. You're going to have a simple and comfortable, in my own perspective, as a person, diba? In other aspect naman, okay lang kung may 5,000 ka, ano. Pero, unable to sustain because we don't know what will happen next, diba? So, diba? Little by little, we need to achieve not this high standard living, but a simple way of living that, like what you said a while ago, nakakakain ka. Hindi ka natatakot magutom, hindi ka natatakot magkasakit. Kahit pa paano, nabibigay mo ang pangailangan at gusto kung may sobra sa iyong mga pamilya. Kasi nagkakaroon tayo ng cycle poverty kung walang pagtitiyaga. Sometimes the problem is inaasa pag magulang, their children, they set their children as their investment. No, di ba? Hindi ganun. Kung ang mindset ng magulang ay ang mga anak ang mag-aahon sa kahirapan, bakit ka pa nag-anak? Eh paano kapag anak mo ganun yung mga mindset? So, magkakaroon ng cycle of poverty. Lahat na ganun, ang anak ko ang mag-aahon sa akin. No, that must be stopped because that mindset is one of the wrong mindset of a typical Filipino parents. And meron, di ba? Ang anak ko mag-aahon, ang anak ko ang tangi kong kayamanan. Pero paano mo bubugin ang kayamanan mo kung hindi ka mag-i-invest sa anak mo? What is that investment? Send your child, di ba? Send your child in school. Give him or her education. That is a priority. Diba? That is your first priority, and other priorities, syempre aside from sending your children or child in a not so prestigious school, but they can able to gain knowledge and wisdom to that institution. Give him or give her adequate basic needs, diba? Kaya ang tingnan natin, diba? Eradication of corruption is the most priority or important aspect of governance that should be addressed. For example, eradication of corruption pinakamataas because corruption is the main start why we have poverty. There's corruption because of self-vested interest. So because of corruption, our government cannot able to give us programs that will lead us to prosper our living. Diba? By 2040, according to this, diba, we're going to look on this, what is the vision of our country? By 2040, o meron pa tayo how many years pa? Meron pa tayong 18 years, diba? The Philippines, baka kung ikay may anak ngayon, baka magdibo ng anak mo, tinan natin, kung ikay mag-aanak ngayon at magdidibo na yan, by 2040, tinan natin, if the Philippines shall be a prosperous, predominantly middle-class society where no one is poor, our peoples will enjoy long and healthy lives, are smart and innovative, and will live in a high-trust society. High-trust society that wherein we can able to give our full support to our government. Diba? That's why you're going to look, it is a collaboration of all the institutions. And from that vision, nandito pa lang tayo. Nakikita ba ang aking slide? 2017, 2022 pa lamang, it is the foundation. We still looking for other 3 successors or president that can able to achieve 2040 ambition natin. Kung ako ay 29 ngayon, papalagay natin 2022, 30 ako. O, another ano pa, kung sa 2040, ilang taon na ako. Di ba? Mag-40 na ba? 40 plus na ako. Di ba? Ibig sabihin, mamimit kaya natin to. O, 40 plus ba? 6 plus 6. O nga, magsi-50 na ako niyan. So, it is a foundation. But how can we able to continue the foundation if every setup of our government have other vision? Diba? Nagkakaano tayo. So, the Philippines can join Asia's march to prosperity sana in the future. Diba? Nangunguna na sa Korea, sundan ng Japan, China. Sana sunod tayo. And sabi nga, according to that executive order, diba? Approving and adopting the 25-year long-term vision entitled Ambition Natin 2040 as a guide for development planning. Diba? Overall long-term goals, medium-term Philippine development, consistent government plans. Diba? To formally commence the formulation of this memorandum, circular number 12 on October 24, 2016. This is the first year of our president directing the National Economic Development Authority to coordinate the formulation of the country's national and regional development plans and the accompanying investment programs and monitor their implementation. We're going to look on this. We cannot able to achieve if we don't have a high trust society. High trust society pertaining to our government, our private sectors, all the public sectors. So if all of us have self-vested interest and not for the common good, there is a problem. The problem is we cannot able to sustain. So we need to look at what will be the vision of our future leaders. We need to analyze and know how can they able to continue the good projects and stop the problem of our society or our country, most especially in terms of graft and corruption, because if still we have graft and corruption, even though na gaano kagandang program, we cannot able to achieve a good outcome. It will retain as a program or a paper, a scrap of paper wherein no one can able to feel the progress of this country. Diba? It is a major. So poverty is everywhere. We are not excused. Diba? Diyan, pero we can able to prevent. Work hard before you finish your studies, diba? And use your education to eradicate or minimize the great impact or the higher impact of poverty. Diba? Follow the rule of law, choose a productive and responsible leader. Do not choose a leader just for the sake of your interest, but choose a leader for the sake of the interest of the people. Okay? So, any question or clarification? Nawala si Kurt. Nandito kanina si Kurt pero bigla siyang nawala. So, if you don't have any questions or clarifications, see you tomorrow and let's call it a night. Okay, I will not give you assignment for tonight, but tomorrow I will give you a task for SOCSTAD 1. Okay, so let's call it a night. Have a good night and see you all.
Sir, excuse me.
Yes.